up here in the upper right-hand position of GSL Cloud Kingdom in the teal color, the cyan color, if you will. It is the Protoss player TrueNoir. He's playing for the team Guns N' Roaches. And spawning across from him in the bottom left-hand corner in the orange color, playing for the team The King's Men, his name is CyanTheory. So unfortunately for CyanTheory, not able to wear that cyan today. Instead, we'll be playing in the orange against the cyan player. For those of you unfamiliar with the Chobo Team League, it's a best-of-7 series where players will alternate skill levels, I suppose, and the first team to 4 wins will take the match. All 7 sets will need to be played, of course, which will determine a final score, which can help determine chaos. So this is game number 1 on Cloud Kingdom Ladder Edition. It's not the Ladder Edition, excuse me. This is GSL Cloud Kingdom. This is a bronze level match and a PvP on this map. Now, PvP on Cloud Kingdom can be very interesting, mostly due to this gigantic cliff face that works along the main. It is really easily abusable by blink play, and you'll tend to see blink observer builds pretty frequently as a result of that. Now, the counter to blink builds would kind of be thought of as a robotics build, where you do get a lot of immortals to try and counter your opponent's stalkers. Immortals can be more difficult to position, especially given just how large this cliff is. And it's just so abusable. The stalkers can blink in, pick off a structure, pick off a pylon, any little damage they can do, and really just keep the Robo-Wing player back in their base. Now we see pretty early scout coming out here from TrueNoir. He will come in here and see his opponent's gas timing and see that nothing out of the ordinary is happening at all. At this point, we could just have a 4-gate versus 4-gate fest, which, while it is kind of interesting, has fallen quite a bit out of style. Now, with the gas geyser and the gateways finishing up, neither player actually in a hurry to put down their cybernetics core, which is kind of interesting to me. Neither one of them really focusing on getting that gateway research out very quickly. And I feel like this is a little bit of an oversight. Again, this is a Bronze League game, so we can't expect top-level play necessarily. And the probe going to be chased off, and there's finally our first cybernetics core, and there's our second one. So TrueNoir for Guns N' Roaches will be significantly ahead of his opponent, and that can come into play, especially in a 4-gate versus 4-gate scenario. Now, I don't think either player is really going to head that direction, as that has fallen out of favor just because of a change to the way vision is gained up ramps. Now you can block it off with a sentry, and a 4-gate can just be stopped that way. Very, very reliably. CyanTheory going for a double gas, and that'll probably lead into either a Robo, we might see a Stargate even. Stargate openers are fairly viable on this map for Protoss. And indeed we see TrueNoir throwing down his second gas geyser as well, and everything proceeding kind of slowly to start with. The warp gates both fairly delayed, and CyanTheory actually gaining that little bit of time back on the warp gate research. We see he's ahead by about 15 seconds. And 15 seconds in Protoss versus Protoss can be all the difference. Indeed, TrueNoir is kind of up by a gateway. He's got more production than his opponent, but CyanTheory will eventually be able to catch up, and especially with that earlier warp gate timing, will be in a better position to defend. If we look at the units tab, we see CyanTheory doing a little bit better focusing on his probes. Although cutting probes in PvP is fairly common if you're trying to hit a specific timing. We see TrueNoir going for a very Nami-Law style, going for 2 probes in each gas geyser, and that has been determined to be the ideal amount of probes if you're trying to hit sort of a 3-gate opener. It's kind of strange, but apparently effective. We do see CyanTheory going to stick with the more traditional 6, which means that he'll be able to get his tech out a little bit sooner and focus on that. But both players up to 3 gateways. The first sentries hit the field. We see CyanTheory is taking control of both of the Xel'Naga towers, which means that he'll be very aware of his opponent moving out, and hopefully will be able to spot anything that might be trying to hide probes around the map. But both players seem content to sit back on one base and sort of receive the aggression from their opponent. And we see TrueNoir now going up to 3 in each assimilator and throwing down his robotics facility. And 3-gate Robo, perhaps the most traditional opener. We'll see if he goes for an observer first for a little bit of scouting, or if he really focuses on that immortal production. And CyanTheory is going to be our Twilight Counseling player. In Protoss vs. Protoss, you'll usually use the Twilight Council immediately for that blink research, as that helps your stalkers become way more efficient than your opponent's stalkers, and you can trade effectively that way. Of course, that's shut down a little bit harder by those Immortals because they gain extra damage versus armored units, and stalkers are, of course, armored units. We will sit back now and see what both players have in store for us. CyanTheory getting out. He's really focusing on his stalker production, so this will definitely be for Blink, and immediately it started the first Immortal on the way as well for TrueNoir at exactly the same time. And this will be a headbutt of really kind of classic styles in Protoss vs. Protoss. The Blink versus the Immortal. Now, CyanTheory needs to do something about high ground vision. He can't really attack up into his opponent's base unless he has that high ground vision. Otherwise, he'll just be kind of choked out in this narrow ramp area, and the Immortal will just be able to disperse damage down the ramp unstoppably. You see stalkers moving across the ramp, or across the map for CyanTheory, and he's following up with a forge, which is kind of interesting to me. It looks like he wants to try and just upgrade his opponent, although the forward pylon, he may be trying to do too many things at once at this point. Focusing on either getting units across the map and getting their upgrades, like Blink, but really you need to focus on either units or upgrades. And right now getting a forge, I don't think is the best timing for that. And he might be caught as his opponent is going for higher tech. His robotic support bay is on the way in the back of his base. He's got more than enough resources. He can immediately start that Colossus. He could start extended thermal lance fairly soon. But I like TrueNoir's position right now rather than CyanTheory's, and I don't think this aggression is going to do too much damage. The Blink will definitely help, but he really needs to catch his opponent off guard. Here he comes up the ramp, and the Zealot's immediately choking him out. Zealot's moving down the ramp, a couple of volleys exchanged. There's a force field. I'm not quite sure of the purpose of it. Instead, he traps a couple of his own units outside of his base. The Stalkers do a lot of damage. They will get rid of the Zealots. One Stalker almost falls, but now the Immortal's back into it, and you see the amount of damage that Immortal provides. The Stalker very, very wounded after taking just one volley. And now the Colossus is out, and I think this is it. TrueNoir did a good job defending on his own ramp, or at least good enough, and I think CyanTheory's big mistake was just attacking into it. Once he saw that his opponent had all that at the top of the ramp, he either needed a way to get high ground vision so that he could sort of circumvent his opponent's army, or he needed to just back off and try and expand. But now he's going to be behind. There's about 2 Colossus on the field, and there will probably be 2 by the time he starts to attack. And I'm not sure what CyanTheory can really do. Even with perfect Blink micro, 2 Colossus will just roast that army. And TrueNoir getting nice vision over his opponent's army, and CyanTheory going to try to move up the ramp, and look at the amount of damage that Colossus does. That's a nice blink up into the main. I don't know what damage he can do. It looks like he wants to go after some of his opponent's workers. And behind this, he is expanding and throwing down a robotics facility. But now targeting down some of these units, he takes a shot at the Colossus. But all these stalkers are going to get trapped. Now he's just kind of running around his opponent's base now, trying to pick off a pylon. That's not the most valuable thing, although it would supply block TrueNoir, and he will get out with a couple of stalkers, one accidentally blinking directly into that wall, and we've all felt that pain before. But TrueNoir is still in a great position to defend. He's still got an Immortal, 2 Colossus, and a gigantic lead. But I like what CyanTheory is doing behind this. He's got kind of a contain on his opponent. If he's able to take his natural expansion, get his tech back up, he may be able to salvage this game. But TrueNoir is going to have none of that. He moves down the ramp, he'll start frying these Colossus, a little bit of a delayed reaction from CyanTheory. He will pull back now. He's trying to pick off a couple of these Zealots as he retreats. He will get one there. The Colossus caught firing onto some of these pylons, and the Stalkers can't quite decide whether they want to engage or run away, and instead they do neither and lose another one of their number. But now retreating back across the map is CyanTheory, and we'll see if TrueNoir wants to press his attack or if he will just sit back and expand. He's got quite a mineral bank, and I'd love to see him add on some more gateways and just pump out a bunch of Zealots and go attack. He knows he has the Colossus advantage, which is basically the most important count at this point in a Protoss vs. Protoss game. And now Observer's going to cross paths. CyanTheory getting that Observer out, although I don't think he needed it immediately. As his scouting information was pretty thorough when he blinked up with his Stalkers, All that observer does will allow him to snipe his opponent's observer, which isn't the most important thing at the moment, as that observer can't observe anything, really. There's no Dark Templar, there's no blink, which means that it's a fairly... I don't know. I would love to see him get out an Immortal and try to hold. But TrueNoir going to go on the attack, and this should just overrun his opponent. CyanTheory getting out a couple more Blink Stalkers, and trying to get that +1 ground weapons upgrade. It looks like he's not going to be able to afford the Colossus. In comes the army of TrueNoir. There's a couple of Stalkers on the high ground going to be spotted by the Colossus and the Observer. Those are taken down. The army is moving in here. We do see the power units doing a lot of damage for TrueNoir. He's going to back up a little bit here, although he does have the advantage. The Zealots getting in on top of these Stalkers, and CyanTheory forced to retreat back up the ramp, and he's going to sacrifice his expansion, it looks like. TrueNoir, though, not the most aggressive. These Zealots are going to come in here, and we'll start killing some workers. We see we're at 6-0 now. There will be 7 and 8. And now starting to wail away on that Nexus, and the Natural will fall very quickly. CyanTheory trying to get out a couple more units and make his last stand up in his main. Back behind this, TrueNoir not expanding, though. He is getting out a couple more Colossus, and you'll have 2 back at home as soon as this little battle is over. If we look at the units tab, we see he's up by 7 probes, which is a pretty significant advantage when you're making exactly the same units as your opponent. An aggressive blink forward there by CyanTheory, but that's going to win the game for TrueNoir. He does manage to pick off the Colossus, but there's still so many Zealots left alive for TrueNoir. And he does break his opponent's army there. There's still 3 more Stalkers up in the main, but now TrueNoir moving up the ramp, and there's so many units here. The Zealots spill into the main for TrueNoir, and this should be it for game number 1. Now even the production going down. Really nice kiting here by CyanTheory, able to get a couple of these Zealots down, but now the Stalkers getting in here should be able to clean that up. The second to last Stalker, there's the last Stalker, and the GG from CyanTheory, and TrueNoir has taken game 1 for Guns and Roaches. So we'll head in quickly to game number 2. It'll be a silver level game, and we'll be right back. Thank you for watching. My name is Meristematic. This is Chobo Team League, week number 1, Guns and Roaches versus the